What should India do in the final? How can they win? How important is the toss? Should you chase? Should you defend? Now, DY Patil, when you look at it, one game that they played high scoring, they managed to defend the total against New Zealand. But in the game against Australia, they chased. DY Patil has traditionally favored chasing. But on the World Cup final occasion, is chasing the way to go? Because I'll give you a list of what all has happened in the last 5 finals and what did the team do when they won the toss. Now, in 2022, in the Women's World Cup final between Australia and England, Australia won their record-breaking 7th title by beating England by 71 runs. Alyssa Healy, you would know, played a clutch knock of 170, and England almost tried, but they did not recover. England, though, had opted to bowl in that particular final, thinking that yes, early pressure would be built up, but Alyssa Healy totally wrecked those plans. And that is why Australia batted, England won the toss and opted to bowl, but that backfired for them. And that is why Australia won that title. Go to 2017. In that Women's World Cup final encounter at Lord's, England versus India, England opted to bat. And England went on to win the match by 9 runs because they managed to defend the total with Anya Shrubsole taking 6 for 46, Sarah Taylor hitting 45, and you would look at Nat Silverbrunt hitting 51. 6 for 46 by Anya Shrubsole, and India's cataclysmic collapse ensured that you lost the match. But England had opted to bat in that final. They made only 228, but it was just enough as India lost by 9 runs. So 2 finals. When you look at it, the team that has batted first has won. But is the trend changed? No, it hasn't. Because in 2013, Australia opted to bat in the final at the Brabant Stadium against the West Indies. And Australia managed a Perry brilliance. Elise Perry was simply at her best. She went through her spell with a dodgy ankle and she managed to take 3 wickets. Even with the bat she had contributed, and several other Australians had contributed in that knock. But Australia won by a massive 114-run margin against the West Indies, and they had opted to bat. So Brabant, Lord's, and then you look at it in New Zealand. This has been the trend that has been going on. What happened in 2009 at the North Sydney Oval? Well, that is the only instance when you look at it in this 21st century where a team that has chased and won this World Cup. Because look at it. England won by 4 wickets after New Zealand opted to bat. So New Zealand opted to bat, but they were undone by the bounce and the sluggishness of the North Sydney Oval. And England also lost their wickets in a chase of 167. So they won by 4 wickets. But this remains in the 21st century the only instance in the Women's World Cup final where a team that has chased has won. Because you go back to even 2005, Australia had opted to bat. And because Karen Rolton hit that 215, India were bundled out for 117. Chasing, when you look at it in a Women's World Cup final, has often been very dodgy. Because look at it. Women's World Cup dynamics I'm talking about in the 21st century. Defending and winning, last 4 when you look at it. It's last 5, it's 4-1 in the favor of the team defending and winning the total. Only once has a team chased and won, and that was 2009. New Zealand versus England, England won that encounter. But if you go to the overall dynamics, it is 6-4, chasing and winning. I'm not looking at the first edition in which you won on points. I'm looking at several other times, and there was a semi-final and all the other things. Once a team chases in a final, you are more likely to lose. A team defending in a final, the other team gets into scoreboard pressure. And perhaps this could be one stat that the Indian team could look into. But how do you balance the DY Patil dynamics? Because DY Patil Stadium has traditionally been a chasing ground. So big call for Harmanpreet to take. And let us not forget the other X factor, the weather. We all claim that Australia made themselves, they made a mistake in DY Patil by claiming to bat first, but they couldn't defend the total. Will dew play a major role? All that will have to be considered in that epic final showdown tomorrow. So big call for Harmanpreet to take, and also for Laura Woolward if they win the toss. So thank you so much folks for joining us for this video. Subscribe to Sports Today for all the latest news and analysis.